Hey everyone, welcome back. And as you can see by the title, that today I wanted to talk about the Uncharted movie. And I want to keep things relevant, but I know this came out like 2 weekends ago. It's whatever. Time is irrelevant anyway nowadays. But I really wanted to talk about this because it's been sitting on my mind still, because I think we're just at an interesting time overall when it comes to this intersection between movies and gaming, and like the adaptation of gaming in movies. And I think it's a fascinating time. Like, if you think about the Sonic movie, that was oddly enough one of the times that they got a video game movie right. And I mean, sure, there's not a whole lot of stuff to compare it to. There's a decent amount of examples, but I mean, just thinking about like the Mario movie, I think that's the one where it stands out, and it's like, video games should never be adapted into movies. And I think the industry as a whole, I think, is starting to step it up, and that's why we're getting to the point now where I guess the movies can be equally as entertaining as the games are to play. So that's why I'm excited to talk about Uncharted. So for this talk, I won't go into too many spoilers, even though I feel like there's not a lot that you can spoil about this movie if you haven't seen it already. I mean, it's pretty standard, it's pretty predictable, or at least to me, there was nothing new, there was nothing that really stood out. But having said that, I did enjoy the movie. I went to go see it opening weekend, and I think for me what happened was Sony had this really big push, this really big campaign, putting Tom Holland at the center of everything. I mean, interviewing with, there's like German YouTubers that I watch, and he was being interviewed by them, and he was being interviewed by Jacksepticeye, and I was like, maybe I should get in on this. But that saying, I went to go see the movie having my only experience with Uncharted was like the fourth game, so I know that, and so that's why I kind of know, okay, I know my Nathan Drake and I know my Sully. That's about as far as I'll go. But again, I just find this world of adapting works into movies or into TV shows so fascinating. So going in, my expectations were to see, I guess, this fan service and this dedication to all the world building that had happened in the films. And I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of what we all go and are looking forward to when we see adaptations. Like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, you want to see, like, you've been reading, let's imagine before the Peter Jackson movies came out or whatever, but you want to see, what do orcs look like? What does the Shire look like? And even with like the Amazon series, you're like, okay, how are they gonna interpret what this, universe looks like, what these characters look like, how they are clothed, how they walk, how they talk, all of that stuff. So you're looking forward to seeing this, magical world unravel before your eyes via someone's interpretation. And I think the problem with Uncharted, they had their fan servicey things here and there, like, okay, the next. I wore this necklace purposely, even though it's a lightsaber necklace. But okay, what else? Like, Nathan Drake has gun holsters and Sully has a mustache, even though they save that for the very end. It's like, you want to see those things, but I think as well for the Uncharted franchise, like, there's just not enough there to be like, this is a hugely fan servicey movie. And I think the biggest reason behind that is because this genre has already been done before. I mean, clearly Indiana Jones, this whole Tomb Raider genre is kind of his domain. And then you have another video game as well, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, where, she's Indiana Jones, but she's a woman, essentially, and she's smart and she can do all these things. So when you get to Nathan Drake, who is also kind of like those two combined, he's got the wit, he's got the talent and all the skills and all that stuff. It's kind of like you've seen it, before, so it doesn't feel as fresh as, something where it's like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, something like that, where that world has just never really been done before. But I also think that's the other thing about this franchise, which makes it so fascinating, is because it, is kind of like borrowing from this genre And it's still a relatively niche video game. Like, I was browsing through the Uncharted subreddit just to see what the fans thought, and they were like, yeah, I'm pretty sure majority of the audience in my theater wasn't, never played the video games before, barely knew what it was. And it's like, yeah, Sony wasn't adapting. Like, they're not adapting Mario, we don't have Chris Pratt, and it's not Sonic where, these are like huge legacy video game characters. I would say, Uncharted is still just kind of a small gaming community thing, and with that, it was like Sony had to play it safe. Again, there's this attention to detail, obviously, with the plane scene and with other things where it's like, if you know, or like the small little Naughty Dog nod that I spotted, but they had to kind of play it safe, which is also why I understand now why they had to cast Tom Holland in the lead, because older Sully, yeah, we probably, not older Sully, older Nathan Drake, we probably could have found someone. I know lots of fans wanted Nathan Fillion, and he did the fan video, and it looked really cool. But Sony also has Tom Holland in their pocket from Spider-Man No Way Home, which is like still in theaters as we speak. And all those other Spider-Man movies. So it's kind of like, oh, I want to go see the guy who plays Spider-Man, and he's just going to be in a new movie. So he was really a selling point for that. And I was like, I get it now. I wanted an older Nathan Drake. I didn't really want like any backstory stuff, but I get it. He really, for me, he really sold the movie. And as far as Mark Wahlberg, I have no clue why they picked him for Sully. I think, because he's an action star and, he gets the job done. I mean, at that rate, they could have cast The Rock. No, I take that back. So yeah, for me, this was a solid C+ movie. It was entertaining. It was a great popcorn flick, but it was just nothing new, and it felt like all the fan service that I thought they could have squeezed into there. Again, I'm not a huge fan, so maybe I missed out on some things, but just going through the subreddit, it seemed like I kind of checked all the boxes for things that I could pick out. And I think by this, spoiler alert, by the second movie, they will have found their footing, because I was like, this could have came out on Netflix. Like, Red Notice was pretty big movie, something kind of like this, and you've got big names that came out on Netflix. So the fact that this was in theaters, I think, shows that they, they're at least trying with this, and they at least want to try to meet some of the fans' expectations, which is what I'm also hoping for the Last of Us series, which is a whole nother conversation, but probably not. I just hope that they do their best, stay faithful to the material, and I think you really can't go wrong there. So that was my late review for Uncharted. If it's still on your mind, or if you have thoughts, let me know. If you thought the fan service was good enough, like if they met the mark for you, I'd love to hear about that. Or if you wish they did a little bit more, I'm curious to find out, from like the real Uncharted fans, what you all think, or where you think the state of video game adaptations are going. So let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this, be sure to give the video a like, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Subscribe for more.